Have you ever heard about the succubus or the incubus, energy vampires or demons that come to you in the night or even sometimes in the day, and they steal your essence or steal your life force from you? Well, if that is something that you're interested in hearing a little bit more about, stand by as we talk about energy vampires, succubus, and incubus entities. Succubus, incubus, and energy vampires. What are they? Well, let's start at the very beginning. Some of you might have had an experience where in the midst of your sleep you had this dream where you had a sexual encounter with some being while you were dreaming, and you would wake up and you would actually see different marks on your body, whether hickey type marks on your neck, bruises on the neck, or bruises on the thighs, and so on and so forth. And you would even wake up in a state physically feeling and seeing the end result, so as if you had some sort of sexual encounter. Well, if this has happened to you before, the reality is 9 times out of 10 you would have had an interaction with either a succubus or an incubus during your dream time or astral time travel. And to break it down for you, a succubus is a lower level demon that steals energy through the sexual interaction. And the difference between the succubus and the incubus is a succubus is the female version and the incubus is the male version. Now here it is. These entities will come to you and have intercourse and things with you while you're sleeping and things of that nature. And in some instances, sadly, there are instances of forced encounters, rape. Okay, and one is in a situation whereby you are somewhat held hostage to this scenario. So what does one do? How does one deal with these type of scenarios? There are certain cleansing rituals that one can do. There are certain prayers that one can perform. There are certain cleansing of one's environment that one can do, and cleansing of one's body, and so on and so forth. For instance, sage, Palo Santo sticks as well have been a good means of cleansing a home environment, for instance. The thing too is you must realize that there are different gateways for succubus and incubuses to enter. For instance, I've found, and this is not in all cases I may add, I've found that some succubus entities will enter a female host, a female body, through the act of physical rape on this 3-dimensional realm. What I've found is a number of women who have been molested as children, and even as teenagers and adults have been infected, so to speak, with this succubus demon. And how it manifests itself is in a very over-sexualized, over-physical type of personality. What you'll find is individuals who are carrying this particular demon or entity within themselves will always be drawn to high sexualized encounters, always wanting to have sex, and so on and so forth. And this is not just only in the case of females. For instance, I did say that the incubus is the male counterpart to the succubus, and you would find that even men can carry the incubus demon in them. if for no other reason sexual transmutation and sexual discipline is a necessity in the spiritual life, it is for this reason here. Here it is, if you have a sexual encounter with somebody who has a succubus demon or an incubus demon inside of them, 9 times out of 10 they are able to infect you with eggs or shells or baby demons that will begin to manifest and grow out and act out through you once you've been infected. So here it is, for instance, women would be with a man and all of a sudden they notice that the man's personality changes and he becomes something else that they're not used to. A different personality starts to emerge, and vice versa. A man can be with a woman and this personality can emerge. Here it is, this personality is so, I say personality, but it is an entity in itself. It is a darker, lower entity, because it is an entity that when it is introduced into you, the individual, it will take over certain aspects of the personality and act out to try and feed itself through this sexual energy, and so on and so forth. In terms of how do you deal with things like this, try and keep your spirit man as clean and as pure as you possibly can. Don't get involved in any willy-nilly trysts and things of that nature. Sexual abstinence if you're not married, and in the marriage relationship you should remain faithful to one another. So it is a situation whereby you're not just avoiding things such as sexual transmitted diseases and things of that nature. You're avoiding something that is even far more sinister and far more dangerous to another individual who you say you love. So with this in mind, yes, these entities exist and you may not think that they exist. And how can they be dealt with? For instance, those persons who have these entities in them via the case of, say, rape, for instance, can have exorcisms performed to have these entities removed, and so on and so forth. There are specialists out there who can do these things, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the things too, when one does soul work, soul reflection, or shadow work in terms of looking at one's soul. These are some of the corners within one's soul that one has to truly examine. Here it is, you could be operating with this spirit at the control panel of your body, thinking that you are in control, but the reality is this entity has been driving you for years, and you've made decisions and have reaped results based on those decisions because these entities were introduced into you unbeknownst. So this is my wrap up on Succubus and Incubus. What I've decided to do is I'm going to do a separate video on energy vampires and so on and so forth. So yeah, if this has been good to you, this is your man Doc saying thanks for signing in. I really appreciate you listening. I really appreciate you following the channel. I'm going to continue to keep putting out information as often as possible to try and keep you thinking. So subscribe, and until next time, peace, love, and blessings.